teaches us to see his deeds. No matter what's going on, we have to believe and keep the faith. Trouble comes all during night and day, but joy comes in the morning. So don't you worry, God is love. It's so good to know He's our joy, life, healer, provider, protector, way maker. He fills us up until we overflow. It's so wonderful to know He's in control. Yeah, He's in control. God comes to the rescue. When things are falling apart, He'll be there to help you because He cares. He wants what's best for you. In every matter of life, He will see you through. So if you're ever feeling lonely, know He's there for you. If you ever lost the love, He will comfort you. He will pick you up when you are down. Open your eyes, see what's in front of you. The world created all these factions to lie you from.
Yes, indeed. Chosen elect family. Chosen elect family. I want to welcome you back yet again to another journey of truth in life where we utilize the power of truth to be set free indeed from the chains of deception. And we are free by the word and love of the Most High, if you're willing to accept it. For those who are in the building, I humbly uh, welcome you and appreciate your presence and time. I have started a new series of open mic in order to uh, present opportunity to those who have been victimized by deep state Nazi tyrannical crimes. Uh, go over it repetitively, so hopefully everyone gets it. There is definitely psychological warfare being carried out here in the United States of America. Uh, American citizens, people who was born in this country, who worked in um, families and posterities have been ensconced in this very country are under attack by none other than the federal government. Psychological warfare is their uh, modus operandi. Uh, it consists of obsessive observation, hyper surveillance, number one. Number two, infiltration. They infiltrate every form of communication, every social connection, every aspect of the targeted individual's life, including work, family, uh, religious or faith based sectors, much reflective of the counterintelligence program that was initially launched during the 1960s and 70s against the so called progressive black movement. Notable martyrs of that COINTELPRO warfare include, but is not limited to, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Huey Newton, and much more, Steve Biko. So it wasn't just a domestic affair, it was foreign as well. Patrice Lumumba was murdered by the CIA's Operation Chaos, objectives to disrupt the social, political construct of the Congos. Uh, so these same warfare tactics are taking place here on domestic American soil, and they are being carried out by autonomous sectors. Hyper surveillance, obsessive observation, number one. Number two, infiltration. They will put plants in every aspect of the targeted individual's life. How do I know? Because they have done it to me for over a decade. Um, Number three, manipulation. They lie, spread lies, rumors, slander. Um, they will build false story narratives and maintain it to be part of an ongoing, never ending uh, investigation, or they will dismiss the credibility of the person through mental health diagnostic statistical manual um, apparatuses or auspices, should I say, to be more appropriately. But after manipulation, intimidation, that you're tortured, you're drugged, you're raped, you're brutalized, you're humiliated, threatening phone calls, directed conversations often carried out by field operatives, civilian based operatives that are connected either directly or subcontractually to the United States government, placed in the target's path, on the target's job, in the target's community, will often um, have ways of suggesting harm or threat to the target's life. This is happening not only to me, but to many others. Intimidation. And of course, if you give into that spirit of fear, the enemy's ultimate objective is to dominate the life of the child of the Most High Yah. He can't dominate you as long as you stand in faith and power, love. He can't dominate you. But the moment that you give that up in exchange for fear, he has you and he will dominate and control your life. But these psychological warfare operations, deceptions, electromagnetic, anti personal assaults through the new age technology, including cybernetics, I suggest all of you begin to study this field of science because it is very uh, prevalent and essential for this age of artificial intelligence, machine, deep learning, etc. You need to understand cybernetics, what it entails, the interfacing of man and machine. This particular book here is by Norbert Weiner. You can get it on Amazon. You can order it at Books A Million or Barnes and Noble. Um, so these electromagnetic anti-personal assaults, which include cybernetics, are being run in America, the so-called land of the free, home of the brave. It's more like the land of the cowardly, the home of the slave, if you ask me, by government agencies, including the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Department of Homeland Security, the Central Intelligence Agency, the National Security Agency, Department of Defense, Department of Justice. And of course, our sources come directly from within those departments of national security. These are whistleblowers who have put their lives on the line in order to tell the story of the sinister things that are happening behind the scenes. The Nazis had, which is a philosophy, it's a mindset, right? And I can go into that, but these Luciferians, the serpent seed bloodline that exist among us, Christ called them the tear amongst the wheat. They believe that it is their right to genocide the human population. and they do it through science. They do it through eugenics. They do it through genocidal means of viral warfare. They utilize machine. The scriptures call it the knowledge of good and evil, the knowledge of science, dark psychology, in order to accomplish their ultimate goal, which is to eradicate all of humanity. That is the pure-blooded, pure DNA human being from off the face of the earth. Now, your phenotypical expressions may be classified as white, Asian, black, etc. But the Most High looks at that DNA and he can tell who's a pure-blooded human and who's not. This is why Christ said at the time of the end, the angels will do the separating, because this is on a genetic scale. This is only molecular, genetic scale that this warfare is taking place. It's where the dividing line is drawn. It's your genetics. Do you have the genetical inheritance of a human being, or do you have the genetic inheritance of a left brain, cluster B, psychopath, narcissistic psychopath? These cluster B narcissistic psychopaths have ensconced themselves into the very infrastructures that govern the American culture, including education, politics, mainstream media, and the likes thereof. They are at the top of all these institutes. Can't leave out finance and economics. They control all these things, and they're at the very top of those pyramid structures of the American society. And so they begin by spreading lies, rumors, slander, libel, defamation about their targeted individual, about the outstanding community members, and they obtain wrongful, illegitimate court authorizations, and this is done through FISA. Of course, we have Kabosh in the building. This is done through FISA, which should be the main focal point of everyone living in the United States right now. While you're being distracted by Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Donald Trump, Joe Biden, and all this, foolery, the enemy is working behind the scenes. And I'm going to show you how the enemy operates. When you see mass distraction, there's a mass, sinister, mastermind plan going on in the enemy's laboratory that the people are completely oblivious to. So if you guys want me to show you what was being concocted in the deep, dark Luciferian layers of the oligarchy that runs America, put a 1 in the chat and I will show you why you are being distracted by all the farce of Puff Daddy and Donald Trump campaigning and, bridge collapsing and all this crazy stuff. We have a 1 in the chat room. So somebody wants to learn, somebody wants to know, what was they doing in the background while they're distracting you. So I'm MT, and what I do is I present you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, because the Holy Spirit do help me. So since he wants to know, and I'm pretty sure the rest of you do, I'll show you. This is what was going on. And many of you had no idea. This is lawfaremedia.org. You can actually go to the website, and the article is entitled Senate Unveils Compromise compromising with the devil. FISA, that's Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, that very legislation that allows them to hyper surveil and target you on behalf of the Satanists that actually run this country. FISA authorization bill. They unveil the unveiling of the enemy. All right. So this was published on March 21st at 11 a.m. And I'll see if I can't scroll it down to read some of this. Now, you guys, you were watching Puff Daddy and all that other crazy stuff, your entertainers, as if it was new news that they get down with, like that. All of them are in on it. Cassie, all of them. Why would she be dating Puff Daddy if she, what was she expecting to get a, Holy Spirit filled, morally conscious and ethical man of the Most High Yah by dating Puff Daddy? No, she knew exactly what she was getting. She's a monster and she wanted to date that monster. You see what I'm saying? And all the rest of them. So it's not like they were oblivious to the fact that these entertainers, these people who have sold their soul for the fortune and fame, were evil. They knew it. Where did they meet at? One of his parties. All right, so just a small portion to be read. Senators Dick Durbin, of course, Democrat of the state of Illinois, and Mike Lee, Republican of Utah, on March 4th, unveiled a new bipartisan bill to reauthorize, after all our marching, after all our demonstrating, writing of letters. I've done it, calling the U.S. Senate, the House of Representatives, etc. They are reauthorizing. What are they reauthorizing? Section 702, the same bill that have destroyed the lives of many American citizens, of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, also known as FISA, as Congress struggles to reach a consensus on reforming the authority before it is set to expire next month. In the Security and Freedom Enhancement Act, that's another one you guys want to look up, of 2024. So it's going to be relaunched as the Security and Freedom Enhancement Act. So the SFEA, or what they call SAFE. And remember what the scriptures tells us. We got to see scriptures coming to pass. When they holler peace and safety, there will be sudden destruction. Right? So we've already had the so-called Patriot Freedom Act. Now we're having the SAFE Act replace the FISA Act. All right, so you guys can finish reading this at your own merit. And Marcus Brown is in the building. Of course, you guys can find this article on lawfaremedia.org, and it talks about the new SAFE Act. And guess who's not going to be safe? You and I. When they relaunch, which they've never annul this bill, Section 702, this very bill that allowed them to hyper surveillance us through satellite and artificial intelligence. Not just physical observation, through cameras, but they're watching you through your mind, through what they call remote neuromonitoring. How many of you are suffering from or have known someone to have suffered from remote neuromonitoring, which is the new form of surveillance where they surveillance your thought? Much like there's a movie, I can't think of the name of it. It's not the Adjustment Bureau. Can't think of the name of the movie, where they had a special ops unit that was developed toward pre-crime. If you guys know the name of that movie, put it in the chat. But there was a special military unit that utilized artificial intelligence, sorcery, by connecting, I believe, 3 or 4 what do they call them? Psychics to a machine in order to predict who's going to commit a crime, etc. And it was called the Minority Report. That's the name of the movie, Minority Report. All right. So this is what's happening here in the United States of America. And we all have stories. I want to hear your story. You guys have heard mine. I want to hear your story about how your human and constitutional rights have been basically trampled upon. Last week, we went over the first 5 Bill of Rights, and I promised that we would go over the next 5 in this particular live stream, so I'll do it before I actually post the link in the live stream. Your Bill of Rights, you should know your rights so you can stand on your rights. Do not allow these people to commit these crimes against you. If you don't know what's a crime and what's legal or not legal, how can you, call them out on their injustice? You got to know what's just and unjust in this country. And trust me, FISA and the non-consensual human experimentations that's going on, and torture and slander campaigns, is not only breaking your human rights, and it's also intrusive on your constitutional protection. And so the Sixth Amendment provides for speedy trial. They should not be preventing you from getting a trial in court. They should not be able to sabotage your ability to have due process for the crimes that have been committed against you. So the Sixth Amendment provides for the right to a speedy trial. And it also allows you to confront the witnesses that are making any sort of claims or allegations against you. And it also allows you to compel witnesses in your favor so that you can have a supporting argument or testimony against whatever story narrative they're trying to concoct about you. It also protects you in the regard of having proper representation by a competent attorney or lawyer. Your Seventh Amendment guarantees the right to have a jury in certain civil cases. Now, whether that be class action lawsuit or just small claims or major claims court, you do have the right to have a jury present to hear your case. And any situation or circumstance where libel, loss of money is present, you can civilly sue for your compensatory damages, for your punitive damages, and your pain and suffering. And the Seventh Amendment protects you in those regards. Your Eighth Amendment means there can be no excessive bail, and this allows for punishment that is deemed to be cruel and unusual, such as being thrown on a targeted watch list, being hyper surveilled, having your reputation tarnished, whether through social media or through community based harassment, the flying monkeys that are meant to disrupt your social life. The Ninth Amendment sets forth the right, that whatever rights you had before the Constitution, you still have. So it protects your human rights, your innate rights, the rights that you were born with, your God given rights are protected by the Constitution. So if you say it's my God given right to be able to live without being tortured, hit with directed energy weapons, noise campaigned, or slandered by my neighbors, that is covered underneath the Ninth Amendment. And then the 10th Amendment limits the power of the federal government. The federal government, although they believe they're all powerful, they believe they can be like God, as Satan deceived Eve and said, you know, when you bite of this forbidden fruit, when you partake of this knowledge of evil, you'll be, you know, you'll have all power. You'll be like God. That's not true. And the 10th Amendment limits the power of the federal government by stating that the power is not delegated to the United States government by Constitution, is not prohibited by the sorry, let me read this slow. It says powers not delegated to the United States government by the Constitution and not prohibited by the Constitution to the states are expressly reserved to the states or to the people. You actually have power. You just don't know you have power. And I'm here to remind you of that power that you actually have. This is my old law book. So I'll toss that to the side and give this invite. If you guys click on that, if you want to come on and share your story, you're more than welcome to do so. You're more than welcome to come on and join your boy MTAC on this live stream. And hopefully we can have another edifying conversation as we have had in the previous two live streams. Speak your mind. I'll start by telling a bit more on my situation about my targeting. Now, I already gone through and told you guys how my overt portion of the targeting began around 2013, whenever I relocated to the state of Illinois, the city metro of Chicago, after being blackballed out of the economical market in the state of Louisiana. Once I got there, I found myself at a working for a Fortune 500 corporation by the name of Schneider and Amol. It was located at, and still is, unless you know changes have occurred, at 3600 Cosner Avenue. That's Kosner. Um, while working there, my job title and duty was commercial driver. I was a local 4 day guy. That meant I worked 4 days a week, 4 on, 3 off. My own days was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. I was off Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That was my work schedule. It was anywhere between 12 and 14 hours per day. Of course, with the Department of Transportation laws requiring that I uh, be off for consecutive 10 hours before returning to work the next day. Anytime you drive commercial vehicles, those are the uh, regulations. So while I was working there, I found myself in the social atmosphere of uh, a cult like environment in the office setting. Now, everyone was not a part of this uh, sinister, secretive cult, but there were ensconced amongst those working there Luciferians, high level Masons, Central Intelligence, and uh, FBI agents, along with Department of Homeland Security. I initially did not know this, but later learned this uh, as the story unfolded. I seem to have uh, had a normal work experience while working there, outside of uh, being constantly pulled to the side and harassed for what they deemed was a different accent. Of course, I'm going to talk different than people from Chicago because I was not born and raised in the Midwest. I was born and raised in the Deep South. And so that did not bother me, but I noticed, number one, that it became obsessive. Like there was hundreds of workers at this particular location, but I seemed to be one of the blue collar workers that was always pulled to the side and overly observed, and the um, collective attention from the office standpoint seemed to be really honed in on me. And I thought it would subside after a few months, etc., but it didn't. It actually grew. Um, it grew to the point where it became annoying. I didn't want to actually um, go to work anymore. Go to work and not necessarily go to work. I didn't want to have to enter the office for anything other than turning in my end of the day paperwork. I uh, much rather just get on my commercial truck and do my uh, duty, get off, have my check direct deposited on Fridays, and go on with my life. But the enemy was uh, very adamant about trying to draw me into that Luciferian occultic crowd. Now, while this was very compartmentalized, meaning that there were workers um, at that facility that was completely unaware of what was going on. Um, it was very noticeable by other drivers as well. They would say, I've noticed you get called into the office more than anyone at this location. Why is that? And I would always wonder the same myself. And it usually, if not always, was never work related. It would maybe start initially as a work related topic, but it would always, um, you know, course into something other, normally faith based conversations, political based conversations. They were trying to feel me out, etc. Later discovered that they call this threat assessment, etc. Um, but I don't want to bombard you guys with my testimony. I want to hear your story as well. It says, all right, so someone's listening for this truth. It says, the feed has stopped. Shalom. Wait a minute. The feed has stopped. If you guys can hear me, put a one in the chat. It seems as if we're having some sort of technical difficulties. Marcus Brown is saying that the live stream have stopped. Okay, Kabash put a one in the chat, so you guys are able to hear me. So let me wrap this story up. Anyway, long story short, without getting into the deep details, eventually they started putting recorders on my truck. They would call me into these erroneous meetings and conversations, and they would try to get a snippet or recording of uh, my conversation. And it was very noticeable. These guys were, by all means, amateurs as it relates to their militant surveillance tactics. And I could have called them out on it very early, but I did not know what the purpose, the objective, and the agenda was. I wanted the devil to play his cards so I could get a feel as to, what was going on and the objective and motive behind it, and so forth. And so, what I'm going to start doing is, as I'm pursuing a civil suit against Schneider and Immortal, I'm going to one by one start putting uh, the operatives of what do you call them, of chaos that were involved in my harassment and targeting on blast. I would start with the low level ones first, and I work my way all the way up to the actual feds that were working behind the scenes and put them on blast as well. The ones that are behind your P. Diddy's and your, Donald Trump's, ones who actually control and manipulate the things that you believe are just unfortunate events or random occurrences. There are people that manipulate the matrix, puppet the matrix. So I'm going to expose them as well, whether they're black or white or whatever the case may be. And they're not black. Now their puppets are black, and I'm going to expose them first because judgment start at home. And then, where do that leave the wicked and unrighteous? Right? So today's donkey of the day is going to be Corey Turner. Corey Turner was used by the federal government at that location. That's CORYTERNER Turner. Corey Turner, who lived in Bolingbrook, Illinois at that time, was a uh, patsy for the feds that worked against me often. And his job would be to engage me in conversation when they would send me on erroneous dispatches, dispatching me to a location for either a pickup or delivery that was just, it was a dud. There was nothing there. I would arrive at a business that was either closed down, a warehouse that was closed, and this guy, Corey Turner, would always be dispatched to the same location. He would be pretending as if he was a commercial driver, but he was a community-based operative. I'm going to get a picture of him, and I'm going to post him on the thumbnail of this video. So every time I do one of these live streams, I'm going to do something different than all other targeted individuals. Every other targeted individual sound crazy because they never get down to the specifics of the who, what, when, and where. You can't go to court and say someone with a red shirt was walking around. They're going to say who was in that red shirt. Where did this happen? When did this happen? So I'm giving you the specific dates and times between 2013 and 2017 during my tenure at Schneider Intermodal. And later this continued after I left there and ended up working for Crete Carriers. That's CRETE. And this is where they, try to make some sort of homosexual story stick and believable to the public. And they had, I never knew that the United States government worked with the LGBTQG whatever community. And they actually was on the government's payroll, which is an abomination to the Most High. And it's just sick that they would play on these people's, I don't want to call them insecurities, but lack of self-identity. It is an insecurity for a man or a woman, in my personal opinion, not to know exactly what they are and what they should be when you're born to be exactly what the Most High created you to be. If you want to be the best human being you were born to be who you are at birth. A baby is perfect, is innocent, and have not broken any laws or anything like that. But this world, Babylonian world, does exactly what Babylon means, which is to confuse, and it confuses that child, and that child grows up thinking that it's something other than what it was born to be. And the United States government takes advantage of that. They had a whole team of homosexuals, and I had no idea that so many homosexuals work for the United States government, but they do through the Department of Homeland Security. And the corporate giants such as Schneider and Intermodal, they actually can utilize these actors, these street theater agents, what they call crisis actors, and the generic, but the actual term would be surveillance role player of the Department of Homeland Security. If you look up surveillance role player or SRP for the Department of Homeland Security, that's an actual job title. And they may not necessarily work directly for the Department of Homeland Security. They may actually work for a subcontracted firm that get allotments from the Department of Homeland Security or the FBI. This is how they get around breaking constitutional law. So there may be a private security firm that has employees or agents working for it, and they receive allotments from the Department of Homeland Security or um, the Federal Bureau of Investigation or the National Security Agency in order to carry out what they call national security protocol, including character assassination, etc., or psychological assessments, or which is harassment, etc. If they feel as if you don't agree with a certain lifestyle that they want all Americans to accept, then they will, deploy these tactics. They will, in my particular case, they got a whole lot of homosexuals to just, they didn't even work for Schneider and Mo. Well, a couple of them, worked there, like Curtis Bogart, who was a homosexual that worked in the office and worked for the Department of Homeland Security. But the majority of them were just actors that was brought on the scene in order to try to irritate me. I don't know what the purpose or agenda was. I guess they wanted me to choke one of them or kill one of them, which is not my in my nature. I'm not going to kill someone for breaking the Most High's law. I'm not going to throw them in jail because I understand that they're in a more soul damning situation. If they don't remove themselves from breaking the Most High's law, then when He judge, it's not going to be jail, it's going to be hell. You see what I'm saying? It's not going to be tearing them down. They're going to wish that someone like myself told them about the word of the Most High and said, hey, you know what I mean? There's sins that can leave someone outside of the kingdom of Christ's gates, and you don't want to be left out there. And it gives a list of them: the cowards, the dogs, the effeminate, all that. It's all written in scriptures, are going to be left outside where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth. But nonetheless, this very sinister program employed these surveillance role players, these homosexuals, in order to harass me, not just for one day, not just for 1 week, not for 1 month, but for several years. From one job to the next, they would have this same crew follow me around and harass me. And it sounds psychotic. And if it sounds psychotic to you, it's because it is psychotic. And that lets me know that the handlers, those that are orchestrating this sick program, are sick in the head. They need medication. This is the reality of it. It says, yeah, there's a lot of indications that apparently this video is not streaming. It says, I think they kicked him out. It says video will not play. Have they stopped this live stream? If they have, uh, you know, put a, I guess you can't even put a one in this chat. If you can still hear my voice, if this video is still, it says I can hear you fine. Tragic Magic is in the building. Welcome on, Tragic. But anyway, I've gone on this rant telling you guys about the torturous experience of my targeting, and it just was way out of control. And if you think that was something, it didn't stop there. I've been drugged. I was beaten in my home by federal agents because what they did was, at one point in time during my tenure at Schneider and Immortal, they would broadcast, like, from the surveillance apparatus on my commercial vehicle to you know, people in the office and other locations that had access to these media platforms as they were trying to paint me crazy, etc. And I knew all about it, so I drew them in with the entertainment, and I began to use that to grasp their attention. And I knew entertainment was what the public was conditioned to. So I said, if I entertain them enough, I'm going to have their attention. And once I have their attention, I can redirect their that attention to more serious topics, such as the trauma that my people have faced in this country, or other crimes, Nazi-like crimes that are taking place in this country. That includes, if you guys can see this, they're really blurring this out, the electromagnetic murders that are taking place through what they would call synthetic telepathy experiments, and much, much more. So I was given the opportunity to utilize those platforms that was meant to tear my character down, to open up the eyes of the people, to touch on what we would call hot button issues, touchy subjects, etc. And I learned to utilize those surveillance platforms in order to reach the masses over the years. Now, the repercussions of that would be I am often tortured extremely, exponentially after a word goes out that these psychopaths don't want the people to hear, such as I just introduced you guys to knowledge of the SAFE Act that is going to replace the FISA Act very soon. While you guys are being distracted with Puff Daddy videos and who else, not sure what's going on in the world. But all these things that let me tell you, we live in a matrix reality. And if you have not woke up to the point where you understand that there are Luciferian psychopaths in the background that will demolish and collapse an entire bridge if they have to, in order to distract the people, to have pretense to establish something else, what they call social reengineering or the Great Reset, you're not really woke. You're not really conscious. They will close off the bridge. Have you noticed it was only 7 people that was missing? And those are probably all actors. You know what I mean? Look at Sandy Hook. Go research the Sandy Hook situation, or the Baltimore bombing and all this. Like, wake up, people. We live in a sick world, a very scripted, fake reality where if your mind, he says, he will keep thee in perfect peace if you keep your mind on him. How do you keep your mind on him? You got to keep your mind on the word, knowing that everything that he has said in this word will come to pass. And we're living in end time prophecy. We're living it out. And what do end time prophecies say? Well, let's go to a little bit of it until someone clicks on the live stream link. All right. So I'm going to go to the book of 2 Thessalonians, chapter 2 real quick, and then I'll get back to reading this informatory that details the construct of the non-consensual synthetic telepathy cybernetic experimentations that are taking place in the United States of America. So I know that's what you guys want to hear. That you guys don't like hearing this holy truth, but I'm gonna give it to you anyway because it's the only thing that can set you free from the chains of deception, those chains that are on your mind and spirit. So, Second Thessalonians chapter 2, starting at verse 3, if you guys can see this. Starting at verse 3, it says, "Let no man deceive you." We live in the age of deception. This is end time prophecy where deceit is all over the place. From the media, you can't believe nothing you hear, and maybe 1% or less of what you see. That's the ratio. It says, "Let no man deceive you by any means." That's by any means, whether by video, audio, by whatever it is. Let no man deceive you by any means, and it do by any means necessary. They have many means where they can deceive you through education, through vain philosophy, through religion, through whatever the case may be. Let no man deceive you by any means. The any means is very important. Or be troubled neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter, as from us, as that the day of Yeshua is at hand, the end time is at hand. Verse number 4. It says, let me find my place. This is very small, right? It says, "For that day, the end times, this day that we're in right now, shall not come except there be a great falling away first. And what? That man of sin, sin being transgression of the law, that lawbreaker, those people who break the law continuously, like those that are breaking the laws against us, our human rights, our constitutional rights, our God given rights, be revealed." So these people got to be exposed. There's going to be an exposure of those who are behind the scenes breaking all these laws against us. This is how you know that we're in end times. It says that sin is transgression of the law. So those that break the law, these lawless psychopaths, must be revealed. This is verse number 3. "And the son of perdition," that is the offspring of Satan, the seed of the serpent in the garden when this snakish individual slept with the human woman and bore an offspring. Is that true? Is that accurate? Before I go any further, I'm going to give you the reference for source. This is the book of Enoch. It was taken out of the original Bible to hide the truth. There are men who withhold the truth and unrighteousness. All right. So here you go. In the book of Enoch, chapter 69, if it this, I do apologize. This camera I have poor pixel and focus, but 69, it reads, starting at verse 12, and the subject topic of this chapter is called "The Names and Functions of the Fallen Angels." And they live among us. They're the ones who run this wicked society. They're the ones at the very top of all your social ladders. The fallen angels run Congress. They run the Supreme Court. They run the executive branch. They're over your presidents. They're over your corporations. They're over everything. They're the ones in the background that you don't see. But this and they've been around for ages, for millenniums. They've been stuck down here. This is part of their punishment. This is like their prison, and they've just turned it into the prison into a party because they know when the Most High come, they will be in everlasting torment in the lake of fire. And so, and it says the fallen angels and Satan, the secret oath. So this is what secret societies are all about. The Hellfire Club, Bone and Skull, the Elks, the Shriners, the Masons, Eastern Stars. At the very top of all these secret societies where they are sworn to oaths, there's fallen angels behind them that teach them this secret knowledge. Now, I'm not going to go through all this, but this chapter breaks down what it's what they call the secrets of their wisdom is. The secrets of their wisdom, which is, the fallen angel technology and science, the cybernetics, the psychological warfare, etc. And who did they teach it to? They taught it to their offspring, the son of the serpent named Tabiet. All right. So that serpent in the garden slept with Eve and bore a son. And this is the son of perdition, right? Who still lives among us today behind the scene. He controls your presidents. They control all that. And it's not just one, it's a whole family bloodline, like your Rothschilds, your Carnegies, your Morgans, like your JP Morgans. The list goes on. Find out what those 1 through 13 numbers on your dollar bill mean and what family they're associated with. And you'll understand the 13 bloodline families that can trace their roots all the way back to the serpent in the garden. So it goes on to say, in verse 4, it says, who oppose it and exalt himself above all that is called God or called of God. So if you're of the Most High, if you're a child of the Most High, if you're a human being, if you have a godly heart, a righteous heart, he is against you. This system is against you. They target you. They oppress you. They slander you. They make your life a living hell. This is what they do. Or that is worship, or he, so that he as God sit in the temple. Now the temple is defined in the book of John, chapter 2, verses 19 and 20, as your body, as your mind. So him sitting in the temple would be invasive, conscious hacking technology, right? So through the spirit technology, or the brave new world of consciousness, that's brain, invasive technology, hacking your brain. This is the Enlightenment engineering era. Through this sort of engineering, cybernetic, neural technology engineering, he's going to sit in the temple showing himself that he is God. It says, remember ye not that I told you these things when I was with you before? Now you know that withhold it, that he might be revealed in his time. For the mystery of iniquity does already work. For he who now will let until he is taken out of the way. And then shall the wicked be revealed. These wicked, satanic, low down, dirty rapists, pedophiles, these genociders, eugenics, these people who are trying to eradicate humanity from off the face of the planet, the serpent seed bloodline, that have the one percenters that have ruled the world, they're being revealed. All the evil stuff that they do on the Epstein Island, the child rape, the torture, the cannibalism, all this stuff, they all participate. Then they put on a suit, and when they get on CNN or Fox, they look like sane people. I'm telling you, these are beyond psychopaths. They're little monsters. And the scary part is they look just like you and I. And it's not just them, it's their watered down offspring too that participate in this targeting harassment program. Those that can move right beside us and live in our communities, that can go to work and secretly, you know what I mean, be working for the devil, doing um, little sinister things while no one else is looking. They're in our communities, but they serve Satan. They literally conspire. They go to meetings. They may call them community safety meetings, etc., or masonic lodge meetings, etc. But what they're really doing is getting orders from that satanic hierarchy, the principalities that Ephesians chapter 6, uh, uh, wickedness in authoritative places that we wrestle against, not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, wickedness, and authorities, governmental authorities in high places. The, um, you know, anyway, I'll digress from that. And my whole point of this was, and I'll skip down. It says in verse 10, and with all deceivableness, that's what we just read, right? These operations that are being carried out are all about deceiving the public, right? Deceivableness, psychological warfare operations, and deceptions, right? This is what these people do with all deceivableness and unrighteousness, meaning this isn't right. What they've done to us is not right. And all them that perish, those people who participate in this, it says, all participating are accomplices to potential murder, right? So, and all them that perish, all them that go around and willing to torture and murder their neighbors, lie on anyone. I don't care if it's family, so-called friends, etc. They're willing to do this because they're doomed for destruction. They're the ones that are destined for the fire. They're the tares living amongst us that are growing with the wheat because they receive not the love of the truth that they might be saved. They don't want to hear this truth. They want to spread the gossip, the lies, the rumors. That's what, you know, that motivates them. It gets them going. You know, this provocative um, behavior and slander campaign against the chosen. This life destructive campaign that they have launched through the resurfacing of counterintelligence, Nazi style warfare here in America. Verse number 11, and it says, for this cause the Most High Yah shall send them strong delusions, that they should believe the lie. They believe this lie. They believe they're literally working to make the community safe, to make the country safe. They believe that the United States government have their best intentions at heart. As if these people would actually shake their old, dirty, cruddy, blue collar hands. They come out and wave and kiss a baby and probably, um, do it with no doubt plastic fake lips that they're going to throw away because they don't want their lips to ever touch, your poor baby, your wick fed baby. They, why you think you don't see them outside of campaigning? You never see them again. The next time you see them, they'll be given some sort of public statement about some tragedy far away from the safety of Pennsylvania Avenue where they reside. This is the reality of it. And it don't matter if it's Democrat or Republican. Trust me, Satan controls both sides. And that's the reality of it. If Donald Trump is your savior, you're on your way to hell. If Joe Biden is your savior, you're on your way to hell. I don't care if it's Barack Obama or any of these losers. If they're your so-called saviors, you're on your way to hell, because they're on their way to hell if they don't ask for forgiveness and repentance and accept the Most High Yah through Christ as head of their life. They can't save you from anything. They can't even fix the infrastructure or the education problem in this country. The economy is getting ready to collapse, and they have no logical plan to address it. Education here in America has plummeted to embarrassing lows, and they cannot fix it. Healthcare is an issue in America, and they cannot they can't even save that. They say the immigration is out of control, and they can't save that. How in the world are they going to save you? How are they going to rescue you? They can't. And if you think that's their objective and their agenda for running for office, then you're sorely deceived yourself. It's it's a Truman Show, and if you believe it, if you buy into it, then you're already lost. Verse number 12, and it says that they should all believe the lie, that they may all be damned who believe not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. They have pleasure in not doing the right thing, in following people around, spreading lies, rumors, tearing down people's character, assassinating their life, and then scaring off into the cracks and crevices of darkness to say, who sees us? Who knows the evil things we've done in secret? This is what they do. Man, we're over an hour. Let me digress from that and read this real quick, and I'll be out your way. I'll end this live stream real quick. I know this is the kind of stuff you guys come here for. So without further ado, I do apologize, you guys. I have a situation here. Do apologize for the brief intermission. My water kind of spilled over some of my books, and I can't have that. So I had to do a quick clean. All right, so I'll read some of this to you guys. If there's anything that pops off this page that you want to talk about, put it in the live chat, and we'll discuss it in the next live stream. So the title of this is FBI and NSA psychopaths are conducting these non-consensual, secret, illegal, sadistic, perverted, and psychopathic synthetic telepathy experiments and psychoelectronic weapons attacks on hundreds of thousands of innocent American citizens. All right. It says the Pentagon and the U.S. intelligence agency called the NSA, the Central Intelligence Agency, the CSS, or the Central Secret Service, the DIA, which is the Defense Intelligence Agency, that's military intelligence here in the U.S., DARPA, which is Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, Department of Homeland Security, FBI, et cetera, COINTELPRO or counterintelligence program unit has extremely top secretive technology that can pick up on the private thoughts given by individuals and the vibrations produced in the brain's electronic impulses. Now, that would be called neurotechnology in the field of cybernetics. So you need to really study this, and this technology do exist. We've gone over it time and time again. There are private developers in this particular field of study. So not to decourse, but to keep reading. All right. They can pick up on private thoughts given by an individual and vibrations produced by the brain's electrical impulse. And these thoughts can be broadcast by means of microwave transceivers, ultrasound transceiver, satellite, or other forms of technology which use electromagnetic transfer, such as your television, your smart TV, your radio, your internet, your cell phone. The Pentagon calls this mind reading technology synthetic telepathy. Although there's nothing paranormal about it at all, the NSA or the National Security Agency is part of the USA Department of Defense, and a very secretive part at that. The NSA has a black budget. Black budget means no, their expenses, they're not audited what they spend their money on. So if they spend $100,000 or $100 million to sabotage your life and to assassinate you, it's always considered a black operation, and the budget money that they expendicate for that would be black opt as well, meaning that it is not on the record. For those of law enforcement or military background, you know what I'm talking about. And is always headed by a flag officer. You know what a flag officer is? That's a top general for the from the branch of the U.S. military. So that could be Air Force, Navy, Marine, Army, or the newly developed space defense branch of the military. You guys look that up, U.S. Space Defense. It is literally a new branch of military, and it's very secretive at that. What they're doing is mind blowing. The satellites, the weapon satellites that many people complain about, like they have one called Satan, which is a satellite developed to target and attack using frequencies, laser, and what they would call, my mind's not clicking right now. If you guys know the types of frequencies that they use, so it's a particular laser band. Can't believe this isn't jumping off my tongue. Anyway, I'll proceed. If it comes to me, I'll mention it. Anyway, all right. So it goes on to say the top secret technologies available to the U.S. military is usually 30 to 40 years ahead of that which is available to the civilian economy. Now, we had a former vet come on last live stream and um, there validate that statement. He said when he was during his tenure in the military that he noticed that the technology that they had years before it came out um, to the public already existed. He didn't think anything of it at first, but once he got out of the military, he noticed that the public didn't have access to it, and when it finally did came out, it was new to them. But he had been utilizing it for years, and they knew nothing about it. Now, this is saying that their technology is 30 to 40 years advanced past the what is available to the civilian economy or civilian population. That means if you have touchscreen, Hey Siri, Alexis, imagine what they're working with 30 years from now. What would that Siri or that Hey Alexis be able to do? That's what the military is working with. You're talking about very high advanced deep learning, machine learning, artificial intelligence that is completely automated and um, symbiotic life forms, which is nothing more than spiritual entities being manifested through technology. And the scripture speaks of this in the book of Enoch. But nonetheless, they consider a sentient life form or artificial intelligence that not only is expressive through hologram imaging, but now is capable of being expressed through the aid of 3D printers, through synthetic flesh suits. Most of the people that are um, that you see on television and even in your communities, they're not real. Someone who does a really great job of exposing this is Pastor Daniel, Christ is King. If you go to his channel, Pastor Daniel, Christ is King, he does an excellent job of being able to identify the synthetic artificial bots that are operating amongst us. 30 years from now, this would not be a surprise to the civilian population, but the military and these secret sectors, they already have access to this, including this brain invasive technology that most of you are completely unaware of. It goes on Uh, the channel is being hacked, everyone. So I'm not sure if you guys can hear this, but the channel is being hacked. Apparently, they don't want this information to get out. Um, Blessings. You guys continue to stay in the word, continue to stay um, in prayer, and let the word stay in you, and you will be blessed. Your boy MTAC has